Welcome friends to another r/IDontWorkHereLady video. If you want to work here for just 1 second and help out, all you gotta do is hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. That said, our first story of the day is by Wonky Merc and Jerkin, Sitting Reading a Book versus Heck Demon. I'd like to preface this by saying that the language used by the awful person in question is not language I condone or use myself. Realizing that I've actually had two IDontWorkHereLady experiences a few years ago, both hilariously enough within days of each other. This, however, was the rudest/worst person. Part of my job at the time was collecting food for clients, so I find myself entering an establishment that Prince Andrew loves and goes to a lot. Jokes. When I go in, the host greets me and I give him my order number. He tells me it'll be about 20 minutes, but please wait. All good, I tell him. I'm not in a huge rush, and I bought my Kindle for this exact purpose. So I can set the picture. It's winter, so I'm dressed in jeans, a big black thick jacket, and a bright purple beanie. The restaurant staff in question are in smart white shirts and suit trousers. No beanies, no jeans, no thick winter coats. There is a couch for waiting customers next to the host stand, so I sit down and start reading. At some point, the door opens and I'm vaguely aware of a draught of cold air. Jerk, the girl, says, ahem, 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 ahem. I'm completely oblivious that I'm the subject of the ahems. She stomps her foot and then another ahem. I look up, see an angry heck demon practically jumping out of her skin, her eyes buggy. She's well dressed but wearing a comically large hat that makes her look like she's being abducted by a UFO. I say, "Oh, I'm being served, you can go on ahead." She interrupted me and said, "Table for two." I say, sorry, I don't work here." She says, "Do you speak English? Table for two." I'm baffled here, completely taken aback. She says, "Are you deaf?" I say, I don't work here." She says, "Are you R-worded? I want a table for two." I gave up trying to speak, and thankfully the host came over at this point. Jerk girl gives me the filthiest look possible and mutters under her breath about me being special needs and ugly and stomps after the host. Her boyfriend or whatever sort of shrugged like this was normal behavior and followed his awful girlfriend to their table. Be honest, in that split moment where it's just you and the boyfriend there, would you slip in a comment like, "What is wrong with her?" Or would you hope that they just kind of scurry on so you can move on with your life? Let me know in the comments down below. Our next story is by KaliBobali126, Funny Work Wrong Number Calls. I work for a major transportation company, and one thing they have where I work is a phone. Since the phones are interconnected, all you have to do is dial extensions. We rarely get an outside of company call. Where I'm working now, I have to answer the phone for the specific section since I'm the only one there. And up until a certain time, I only got work-related calls. Then one day, I answer my usual response mini load. I get someone asking to make an appointment with a podiatrist. I had to say, "Sorry, wrong number," while holding in a laugh, thinking, when did a podiatrist office move into a transportation warehouse? I think another wrong number came in for a person or a pizza place, and the most recent was a person trying to do a survey or a petition. The woman was trying so hard to keep me on the phone, even after I explained, "You're calling a warehouse, not a residence, and we can't do what she's asking for." I ended up hanging up on her. I'm still waiting for the car warranty scam to call. Yeah, little does OP know they're gonna be there working in their warehouse, get a ring on the phone, and it's gonna be, "Hello, OP's name. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. How did you find me at this number?" This next story is by Jergens1, Lady at the Lexus dealership. This morning, I went downstairs and stepped on a granola bar wrapper. Confused, I followed the bits and found a trail of wrappers on the floor leading from the pantry. My puppy had somehow gotten the door open and broke into a box of granola bars. Panicked, I called the vet's number that's programmed into my phone, as the bars had an artificial sweetener that can kill dogs. The reception gave garble garble, new deal, Sirius radio. Me basically shouting into the phone that I was worried my dog was dying. Reception said, "Okay, I hear you, but this town named Lexus." I say, "Can't you help me?" They say, "I think you need to call your vet, but I hope your puppy's okay." Me suddenly dawning on me what she's saying. Oops, so sorry. Readers, I was the confused customer. Lady at the Lexus dealership, thanks for being nice. I did get a hold of the vet, who assured me the sweetener is not the kind that kills dogs, and since my puppy's already pretty big, that it should be fine. My pup just got a tasty snack, and I got a memorable morning. Just imagine you call them up, and it just isn't caught right away, and you're like, "Please, can you send a car out, or do I need to drive there?" They reply, "Well, we don't really do it that way. You're gonna have to come down here." I'm just glad the dog's okay. This next story is by That's Not My Name. Customer rings his own food. I work for a very popular quick food chain that started in the Midwest. During COVID, we had to close our lobby for obvious reasons, so we resorted to putting up a tent, the ones you see at fairs, to take orders outside in addition to our drive-thru. Because we can get very busy, but we also don't want to waste labor by having someone out there all day. So we just send someone to run out after we get X amount of cars lined up in the drive-thru, and it remains unmanned otherwise. One day we're having a slow afternoon. I work in the kitchen, and an order starts to pop up on the screen, which is weird because we have an overhead system that gives kitchen the audio when someone's taking an order in drive-thru. So I know we don't have a guest in the drive-thru, and we have our breaks done. So it isn't a coworker's food. I call up the front line to ask who's ordering, and they're at a loss. So I look at the screen again, and it says that it's coming from the point of sale that we have outside. Our point of sale isn't the easiest to navigate, or at least wasn't at the time, and usually requires 3 to 5 days of training to get someone used to all the different menus on it, and to get them to remember asking for sauce on orders with tenders and condiments on burgers. Turns out, some customer had decided to take his own order on the POS outside without issue and cashed himself out. We don't have a register out there. You can only pay with card, so we weren't worried about him stealing. He even added his own side of sauce. He gave himself a number for the order, and he tendered it to the right location. A few of us managers were curious if he would be interested in a job because we're always in recruit mode, but he politely declined. Everyone on shift thought this was hilarious, and the story was circulating around the store for a week or so because we found it so funny. This makes me think of those stories where you hear of people who go to warehouse stores, and there might be like a pallet of something sitting on a shelf, and they literally find like a forklift in the warehouse and take it down off the shelf themselves. Like imagine going to a Costco or a Sam's Club and somebody's taking down the pallet themselves. It's just one of those things where you look at them and you're like, "You've done this before, haven't you?" Our next story is by Sakuma Aizawa, Walmart story. Most recent case for me, I was looking around the store looking for something, I can't seem to remember what, when this woman began to talk to me asking where this type of alcohol was. Now, mind you, I'm 16. I don't know. I told her I didn't know. She said I clearly work there. I sighed and said I didn't. My parents were at work, and I would have called one of them if they weren't. This went on for a while I was walking looking throughout the store for this item for myself, and then an actual employee who worked there asked what was going on, and that's when I heard it. "This disgusting woman says she doesn't work here. She clearly does, and I need help finding this alcohol." Now, both me and the employee were weirded out. I had a they-them pin on, and it was in a very obvious place. The employee apologized to me for the woman and said they could show her where it was. She threw a few more insults at me, which didn't faze me at all, and left. I just grabbed a few things I didn't go there for at all and paid and left, going back on the bus. The lady saw me boarding the bus as well, so I think she figured it out. Yeah, I don't know. If you're gonna follow somebody around demanding they help you out and they just keep, fleeing you inside the Walmart, maybe they really don't work there, lady. Our next story is by Pixelated Perspective. I don't work at H&M. I used to work retail at my local mall for a smaller company that sold casual women's clothing. A few stores down, you would also see places like H&M, Forever 21, Urban Behavior, and so on. I guess you could also say that the company I worked for had very similar styles to the bigger fashion brands, but at almost triple the price point. Won't name where, but it was a drop shipping type of store, so they jacked up prices. One day during my break, I was out to purchase a belt at H&M since my store didn't sell accessories. I was in a blue tie-dye tee with some baggy jeans and a yellow hat, all clothes from my store. But I guess my mistake was the fact that I had the store keys on a lanyard in my pocket. I was browsing the belt section looking for my size, and a few folks looked at me and seemed like they wanted to ask a question, but weren't sure if I worked here. until one lady decides to start yelling, "Excuse me," repeatedly. I thought there was another employee nearby, so I ignored her. I heard some angry footsteps and suddenly a very loud, "Excuse me," from behind me, and I turned around to see a lady holding about 10 items. I didn't say anything at first because obviously I didn't know who she was, so I just stared blankly waiting for a response. Then there was some awkward silence before the lady said, "I've been trying to get your attention and I need a change room." I politely told her that I didn't actually work here and that I was on my lunch break, and she angrily asked, "Then why am I standing here?" "I don't know, lady. Your guess is as good as mine." I love when people expect you to do something for them that you literally cannot do, and because of that, they tangent into some question that really makes even less sense. Like, why am I standing here? I don't know, your own 2 feet got you here? Why don't you fire that old brain up and think for yourself? You might actually find some stuff in there if you used it. This next story is by Lilam Lara. German lady wanted to get me fired in another store. I live in Germany, work in an electronics shop. This shop's inside a mall with some supermarkets. I was quickly grabbing something to eat on my break in a supermarket called Aldi, and while I stopped somewhere next to a high shelf, an old lady, maybe around 70 years old, asked me if I can give her a box that was at the very top of the shelf. I'm a very kind soul and try to get the box, but I'm very small and couldn't reach it. I even jumped, but I still couldn't get the box. I told her I can't reach it and she should ask someone else, and walked slowly away while looking at my phone. The lady yelled at me, "Excuse me, you don't want to help me? Get me the manager quick." Well, the lady didn't notice that I don't work in the Aldi and had something else on as an outfit than the workers do in the Aldi. The Aldi work outfit is mostly light blue, but my work outfit is navy blue/dark blue with an orange star on the right chest. The fact that the lady didn't know? I'm a daily customer, and the manager knows and likes me a lot. I did like the lady told me. I brought her the manager, but told him beforehand that the lady is rude and mad. The manager heard her side of the story while she was lying that I cursed at her, looked at my phone while working, and didn't care about customers' wishes. She said, "You should fire her because she triggers my PTSD of my bad neighbors. I could have had a heart attack because of your bad employee." After that, the manager said, "That's sad, but this girl did never work in my company. I don't know why you called out one of my dear regular customers. This girl's here every day and is the nicest person who never swears in front of people." He called security and told her that she's not allowed to shop in this mall anymore. She was like a loud air horn yelling and crying at the same time, still screaming at me, but crying to shop in that Aldi again. The whole time, I was pretty chilled and enjoyed the show. At the end, when she got escorted out, I even waved and smiled at her. When I told the story to my boss, he went to the supermarket, watched the security cam footage, and came back laughing. The last 4 hours of my shift, my boss sent me home and told me that I deserved that. Afterwards, I thought about the situation, and maybe the lady saw a person in a blue shirt and assumed that this person, me in the moment, works there. On the other hand, she could ask if this person works in the store. It's not a stupid question. It's a totally casual one because everyone can be a customer or on break. I definitely agree with OP, and one thing I've learned from reading all these stories is I'm going to be overthinking every time I walk up to an employee. I'm going to look for a name tag. I'm going to look for the company logo, make sure maybe they're behind a proper desk. I'm ready not to make these same mistakes, lest I get banned from an Aldi. And our final story of the day is by Power Struggle 55. I guess I'm a deputy. Several years ago, I had gotten a new cell phone number. Let's say it was 123-212-4567. It was an easy number to remember, the actual number, but there was a downside. At least once a week, sometimes more than once in a day, I'd get a phone call for the local sheriff's department. Reason was, their number, not real of course, had the middle digits of 121 instead of 212, meaning very similar. Same digits but the first 3 after the area code were the other way around. You would think that this would be enough to know what number you're calling, or if you make a mistake, get the last digit wrong or something. Nope. Often I got phone calls looking for a sheriff, deputy, someone else was there, etc. Heck, once to report a crime, I guess through non-emergency. Each time I'd have to explain that this was a private number, explain their mistake. Thankfully no one got rude and thought I was lying so I could be lazy. Each time they thanked me and luckily never called me back. But it was a common issue that drove me nuts. I could have ignored all the calls I didn't recognize, but they'd likely call me back. I shouldn't have to change outgoing voice box messages to say something like, "You've reached my name. If you're looking for sheriff, this is not them. Call them at so-and-so." Eventually, when I switched providers, I had the chance to get a new number. So I got a new number, and the call stopped. I do get a wrong number call, but typical and very rare. I just hope the person who got my old number is as kind as I was, if they still happen. I feel bad for OP because that's the kind of wrong number you really don't want to have. People trying to call up basically the non-emergency line or looking for some kind of information on what to do in certain situations, wanting a unit to be sent out. So not only is it the wrong number, but it could be a wrong number under a lot of pressure. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.